GB's here, and welcome to another episode of Into the Squared Circle podcast, all part of the GSJ Multimedia Network Productions. By the way, Into the Squared Circle podcast is available on all podcasting outlets. So whatever podcast you listen to, you can listen to this very own podcast, Into the Squared Circle podcast. By the way, I'm available on 5 social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, super kick that sumble bitch, and let's get this party rolling. But before I continue on, this episode, it's a very special episode. It's a show dedicated to the talent, the independent stars out there. And to be exact, these fine gentlemen, as of right now, for the next 5 weeks, they are rocket stars. Now, you're going to ask, what's a rocket star? Well, rocket star are the talent from Rocket Pro Wrestling, RPW Wrestling. They held their shows in St. Joe's Park in Joliet, Illinois. Of course, a lot of these interviews you're going to hear held prior to the March 4th of Shamrock Showdown, so that event has passed by. A lot of major things happened on that show. Now I'm going to promote the next show, April 15th, Spring Break. $20 for the front row, $15 for general admission, cash only. You have food, beverages, merch. You get to meet your favorite RPW stars, the Rocket Stars to be exact. And for the next 5 weeks, of course, starting today, 5 talent, 5 interviews, 5 weeks, leading up to the week of April 15th. And this week, for the debut episode, I'm going to have a fine young gentleman. He's not a kid, he's a gentleman. He is a star. He's a future in the pro wrestling industry. He is the Outer Limits champion in RPW wrestling. This gentleman's name is Gunner Brave, a local hero, of course. Kicks all forms in the ass in the ring. Very impressive to watch. Not only in RPW, but he wrestles all across the Midwest. So keep your eyes out for Gunner Brave. So, as I mentioned, this episode, along with the other 4 in the next couple of weeks, are not about me. This, and along with the others, are dedicated to the talent who took their very own time to do this podcast with me. And without the people behind that, the Shelley family, Kevin Palmer, all the staff, all the talent. They're responsible for allowing me, a random stranger off the street, to come inside of their building to interview some of the stars. So thank you, Kevin Palmer, the Shelley family, for allowing me to have this opportunity. I'm very grateful, of course. So as I mentioned, Rocket Pro Wrestling. RocketProWrestling.com. That's the website. Check out the next show, April 15th. $20 for the front row, $15 for the general admission, of course, and you can meet your favorite Rocket Stars as well. Okay, let's kick off the first episode of an interview, of course, with a special talent, Gunner Brave. Let me know what you think. Into the Squared Circle podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Instagram. Send me your thoughts. What's going on, everybody? This is your host, GB's, live from St. Joe's Park in Joliet, Illinois. Today is March 4th, which means it's Shamrock Showdown. A Rocket Pro Wrestling presents Shamrock Showdown, happening right here at St. Joe's Park. As I mentioned, it's going to be a hot, sold-out show, as always. So, I have a special guest this evening. He is one of the best talent on the roster in RPW. Outer Limit champion, of course. This guy is impressive. If you haven't seen him live in person, I tell you what, he is awesome. Here is my guest, Gunner Brave. Gunner, how are you?
I am fantastic now that you've boosted my ego quite a bit. I always love hearing great things about myself, so I am fantastic now.
So here we are, Shamrock Showdown. How do you feel, man, going into today's event?
I'm really happy. You know, outside of the obvious match tonight, just seeing where the company's been, the growth we've had, it makes me excited as a wrestling fan because deep down that's what we all are. And the company's blown up, but the pressing matter is tonight I have to face an old ally in Flash Harris, and it's going to be there's a lot of animosity, so it's going to be a bit of a fight, and I'm really excited to go there and just prove that I am the champion here.
So my first question I'm going to ask you is, what is your strategy going into this match this evening?
So Flash is a bigger guy, and I know his style. He's a bit of a brawler. He wants to go out there and just rough you up. So I'm going to try to keep him on his toes. The faster pace the match is, the more it leans in my favor. If I give Flash the opportunity to slow things down and make it his match, then I'm in trouble. So my main goal tonight is just to keep moving, keep on high on my feet, and just tire him out and get the better of him.
That sounds great. So, yes, it is the beginning of 2023, of course. You had a hell of a career in RPW so far. What's some of the highlights throughout 2022? Kind of go back. What's your favorite matches so far you enjoyed?
2022 was a very, very fun year. It kind of cemented my title reign as, I would say, one of the all-time reigns we have so far, and it's still going. We're at day 456 right now, so we're nearing that 500. My goal is 550. If I get to 550, that means I beat Connor Hopkins in May. So 550 is the goal. But 2022 was a lot of fun matches. Me and Storm Grayson tore the house down. I brought in a lot of my friends from Black and Brave, and we had this four-way match with a bunch of doors, and it's been an eventful time. Obviously, the lights out match kind of stands out the most. Me and Brooks Berna had about a 45-minute just bloodbath between us. It's been a year of just nonstop favorite matches of mine. I can't pick out one match that I didn't like last year.
Absolutely, and that's just a phenomenal record you have as a champion, which is a huge accomplishment in your career, of course, as always. So now we just talk about the past. Now let's move on to the future. What's the future hold for Gunner Brave?
So obviously tonight I have Flash Harris. I don't know what I'm doing in April, but whoever it is, I'm coming with the same mindset. I'm going to win. I'm going to move forward. My goal is we take June, July, and August off. So my goal is to go into the break still the champion and make my title just matter, because I have cemented my title as, once the match is going on and it's Outer Limits title match, it is the match of the night. So my goal for 2023 late in the year and all of 2024 is just cement myself as one of the all-time top Outer Limits champions, one of the all-time top Rocket Pro competitors, and just keep proving why I call myself the King of the North for a reason, because I run this shit.
That's awesome. I like the future you have in your mind right now. Sounds so positive. Sounds so great. So, may I ask, how old are you?
I am 22 years old. I started wrestling when I was 18, so I'm about 4 years in now.
Dude, you don't seem like you're 22. Hands down, you seem like you're like in your 30s, and you look great. I mean, you look like an absolute star. You look like someone I could see on TV in the next couple of years. Like, you absolutely looks like a star every time you come out to the ring. So now I'm going to ask you next is, where in your life where pro wrestling came into your life?
Immediately. Really, it did. I was a bit of, I don't know why, but I was a really emotional kid for some reason. And for some reason, for me, wrestling was the one thing that could always cheer me up, no matter what it was. Like, if I was mad or if I was crying, wrestling could always make me smile. So it was kind of my relief for me. And then the moment I decided it's what I want to do was actually, I believe, Mania 24, Flair versus Micah's retirement match. It was the first match that took me from happiness to making me cry, actually, because it was just such a storytelling. And I actually have the I Love You, I'm Sorry super kick tattooed on my wrist. It was the moment where I decided, like, wrestling can be someone's outlet, and it can, like, get people out of their world momentarily into ours. So at that moment, I decided, like, I want to be the person that young me needed. So I want to be that person for children or, like, people, adults, or whoever just needs just a momentary break. And I decided that I'm not, like, a mathematician or a scientist, but if I can get in the ring and blow your mind for 15 minutes to give you that 15 minutes that maybe that's all you need to feel better about yourself, that's what I wanted to do.
That is great. I liked how that story, because for me, I started not even 10 years old when I became a pro wrestling fan. Right on the tail end of the Attitude Era, I kind of got into it. My first show was back in 2000 at the Allstate Arena, at the good old days when SmackDown was on UPN, and my parents used to take me. And I can't tell you how many wrestling shows I've been to. I mean, you have to line up the whole rosters, then take their shoes off and count their toes and fingers. That's how many shows I've been to. And I'm still a fan today. And for me, having a child as well, I tried to introduce him as well at a young age as a pro wrestling fan. So, yes, I agree with you 100%. Wrestling is an escape outlet, just a step away, and just it's enjoyable. It's a passion. It's love. And that's what I love seeing in you as a young generation coming up. Speaking of young generation, as you look, or I should say listen to this podcast, probably the next 10, 15 years, for the next wave of the young men and women out there wants to become professional wrestlers. There's anything you want to tell them specifically, how to achieve this, how to get to this where you are at this very moment.
The simplest answer is if you want it, you need to work for it. You're not going to get anywhere by just hoping and praying. You need to go out there and you need to bust your ass and try your hardest. I'm not saying you need to go to the most luxurious school in the world. There's great teachers everywhere you go. Just get proper training. And then kind of the biggest thing is to realize at the end of the day, we do this for the fans. Like it is to put on a show, which is something I've been learning lately from our veterans in this locker room, kind of telling me like, hey, like we're professional wrestlers. We need to go out there and we need to do what we do best. And the business grows when everyone's growing together. If it is a dog-eat-dog world, but at some point, we are all working to the same thing to advance professional wrestling. If we ever want to get back to where we were in the Attitude Era, it's not going to come from one guy or two guys trying to be the top by himself and just crush everybody else. We got to work together. Always reach out. Never be afraid to ask for advice, ask for help. There's always someone who knows more than you or has a different opinion than you, and it's okay to listen to those things and learn those things because, like I said, once one person grows, we all grow, and we want wrestling to grow as a whole, so we got to do it together.
Absolutely, and that is just a wonderful statement come from Gunner Brave. Gunner, thank you so much for taking your very own time to come up here and do this podcast, as always. I wish you all the best. On today's show, RPW presents Shamrock Showdown. It's going down at St. Joe's Park in Joliet, Illinois. There are tickets available. On site, of course. Get here fast because it's going to sell very, very quick. And this show, it gets packed out each and every time they have a show here. Obviously, the next show is when, April?
I believe April 15th.
Okay,
April 15th, and that is, I don't know the name of that show, but it's going to be a good one. That's all you need to know. I'll be there.
Yeah, April 15th is the next show by the time this podcast come out, of course. I tell you what, it's a fun time. Bring your family, bring your grandmother, your grandpa, your neighbor, your uncle. Bring somebody you know off the street and say, hey, you want to go to a pro wrestling show? Yeah, I'll be there. Hell yeah, be there. It's going to be a great time as always. So, Gunner, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
And before we kind of close things up, do you want socials, anything people want to follow you on?
I keep it real simple. It's at Gunner Brave on everything. I think Twitter is at Gunner_Brave because I wanted to be fancy for that one. But it's Gunner Brave on everything. If you want to follow me, look me up, ask your mothers about me. They'll usually find me. Big mom guy, So if you're a single if you're a child to a single mother, also follow me because I'll be contacting them very soon. And have a lovely evening. I'm going to go beat up Flash Harris.
There we go, folks. Gunner Brave. Leaving here. We'll have to wait and see what's going to go down tonight on Shamrock Showdown. Bye-bye, everybody.
Hey, if you're a fan of Inside the Squared Circle podcast, feel free to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode each and every week. And yes, the Inside the Squared Circle podcast has 5 social media platforms. That's right. You can find them on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram. Follow us at Inside the Squared Circle podcast. Inside the Squared Circle podcast is part of GSJ Multimedia Production, also part of the GSJ Multimedia Production Network. And if you're a fan of rock, hard rock, and heavy metal, check out A Lesson in Headbanging Podcast with GBs, also part of the GSJ Multimedia Production Network.